Hi, Joe Soto here, and I want to talk to you about qualifying your prospect. If you've ever been in a situation where you got off of the phone and maybe just had a sales conversation with a prospective client, or you've walked out of a meeting and you wondered, I wonder if they even have the budget to afford me, or I'm not even sure if they can afford my services, or I'm not even sure if this is something they really want to do or not, and you're unsure if they're really qualified or worth pursuing in the first place. Well, if that's ever happened, it's your fault. And that's the good news, because you have control over that and you can prevent that in the future just by asking one or more of some of the questions I want to share with you here in this video. So I'm going to give you some of these questions. I'll grab a pen and paper and make these questions something that you could comfortably ask conversationally when you're having sales conversations with your prospective clients. So for example, I might ask something like, Jim, before we get started, why is it that you think that we might be a good match? Now that's kind of a pattern interrupt, because I haven't even shared anything with them yet. Maybe they've only, I usually ask that once they've kind of shared their story, maybe told me a little bit about what they do, but I do it before I've shared much about me, because I'll find out, it's interesting how many people answer that question, but I'll find out kind of what stands out in their mind. Maybe they will reference something that they've heard about me, or maybe they say, well, you were referred to us, and they share, some information. Maybe they looked you up online, they found some things they liked. Maybe they liked something that you said in your email, or something in your outreach, or something in your video assessment or audit, or maybe something about what you've done in your communication up until that point they've liked, and then now they're going to point it out as something positive. What a great way to start any type of presentation or any type of conversation that turns over to you. I also like to say things when it comes to getting the budget. I like to say things like, is there a budget allocated for this initiative? You shared some goals and some things you guys want to achieve. Have you set aside budget in order to really achieve this? And are you committed? That'll get them to say, yeah, we've got a budget set aside. If they don't have any type of budget, I would ask them, are you willing to put together a budget, or are you just hoping to, kind of have this fall out of the trees for free? And they'll answer that. They'll tell you if they've got a budget. One of my favorite questions is, and I'll put these questions down below so you can have those here, to supplement or complement the video, is I'll say, how important is this on a scale of 1 to 10 for you guys? So for instance, I ask that after they've shared with me what their goals are, what they're trying to achieve, maybe what they're trying to avoid, maybe a problem they're trying to solve, and I'll say, well, how important is it that you guys, move in this direction or grow by 10% over the next 12 months? If you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. What this does is it gets them to admit how committed they are to their problem, to solving the problem, to the solution, maybe even to hiring you as a service provider. Another good question you could ask is, what's your timing to accomplish this? Again, you don't ask all these questions all in a row. These are just different types of questions that are qualifying questions. I call them conversational qualifying questions. So I may say, what's your timing to accomplish this? What's your time frame look like? Now you can tell how urgent it is for them. I may say, how soon are you willing to begin and get started? Now I can qualify whether or not they're serious about doing this sooner or later. Here's another great question. I may say, what's your decision criteria in choosing an agency partner for you to work with? And then I just shut up and let them answer that. When you ask somebody what their decision criteria is, now you're asking them to go a little deeper on what it is they're going to be evaluating that you might share with them or you haven't shared yet. So some people ask this question at the wrong time. They ask it when they're done presenting. The key to asking this is in your discovery meeting, when you're first meeting them and learning all about them. Because what they'll do is they'll give you information that you need to put in your presentation proposal or in your presentation when you come back to them that's important to them. And sometimes you can just straight up ask, what's most important to you in deciding on an agency partner to go with? Or what are 3 things that are most important to you? Something around that where you get their criteria. You also can engage somebody based on what they've done before. So I may say, have you ever, let's say they're thinking about using digital advertising, Facebook and Instagram advertising and retargeting. I may say, have you tried Facebook advertising before talking to me? And if they say, yeah, we've been trying Facebook ads, I'll say, how much money have you put into it? And I want to find out, have they marketed like this before, and have they budgeted for it, so you're not catching them completely off guard. If they say, no, we haven't, I may say, well, what kind of online advertising have you done? Again, I'm qualifying whether or not they even have the wherewithal or have a threshold or a tolerance for advertising online. And so I want to know, what kind of money have you spent online? A lot of times I take them through, an itemized statement of this. What have you spent your advertising dollars on? What's worked? What hasn't worked? And now you take inventory of that stuff, but it also tells you whether or not they have a tolerance for spending money with you. And again, making them much more qualified. So these are some of the conversational qualifying questions you can ask. And the only thing that would stop you from asking it is you. And through experience, you get more and more comfortable asking things like, is there a budget allocated for this? Or are you hoping that this would all come together for free? You'll get more and more comfortable talking like that with people as long as you're asking and talking and doing this in the best interest of the customer. So hopefully this helps. Let me know if it helps. I'd love to hear your comments and feedback.